Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your wisdom, your genius, and your joy. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 26 years through two businesses as a success coach and business strategist, and prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions, rather than lean on your logic and your reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic to you and for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. You'll come to learn that following your joy is a life and a business strategy. So listen in for inspiring entrepreneurial stories and solo casts that illuminate listening to your intuition is certainly the doorway to your wisdom, your genius, and your joy. Not sure how to access, use, or trust your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Well, hello, everybody. How are you today? So, with the conditions of the world, and I've been kind of mentioning this in the last couple episodes, the conditions of the world and what's required of you, especially how to kind of deal with it, is I have a special gift, and it's called my Purposeful Meditation Strategy, and it's located at my blog. So to make it easy for you, I'm going to drop the link into the show notes. But it's this month I've dedicated, at least in my business, to purposeful meditation, the state of allowing and non-resistance. And it comes from the inspiration from the book Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks with the teachings of Abraham. And what they do in that book, and I'm sure many of you have read that, if you haven't, definitely pick it up, is that they demystify and they mentor you to live the power of deliberate creation, right? Desires. Okay. The art of manifesting, not only in my world, but obviously what I've learned in theirs as well, is that the art of manifesting is predicated on having a high, clear vibration of anything you define as feeling good. All right. So that can be gratitude, it could be appreciation, joy, faith, trust, love, optimism. Okay. And they use an emotional set point, it's an emotional set point list of feelings to measure whether you're in a place of allowing or resistance to your desires. The other end of the feeling scale of that list is anger and blame and fear and worry and judgment and all of that. That's when you're in resistance. Okay. Is that essentially your emotions are indicators of your vibrational frequency. Right? So when I read the meditation chapter of the book, I had a breakthrough in how they framed the purpose of meditation. Now, that's what I encourage you to consider applying to your own life to help manifest your desires and use a buffer to the conditions of the world. Okay. Before I read this chapter, I, like many of us, I've used it for, getting rid of stress, or it's been just kind of, a grounding effect. When I do it, and I've been doing it for quite a long time, it's also a walking meditation. It's not always me just sitting here, in quiet solitude. I really actually enjoy walking in nature, which I do every day. And that's my meditation, right? So this was a refreshing look at how to meditate, which they walk you through. But I explain all this in the blog article is my point. I give you a very concise, here's how you do it. Here's what happens, because the whole point is about you being in a state of allowing, right? An openness and allowing, and getting rid of dropping the resistance that we typically, unbeknownst to us, that we're in a lot of the time during the day. Right? And resistance, again, are all the kind of the negative things that we think and feel. In the show notes, you've got the link, and you can go directly to the blog article. It's pretty short. It's not going to take you very long to read it, but you can follow that. And I love it. It's helping me in a lot of ways. One of my kind of gifts during the unrest that's happening out there for your well-being. Wedding Summit Series, the Growth Edition, is a incredibly well-produced, well put together. It's an online, it's a virtual series. It's August 8th through the 12th. And I was invited to be one of 28 speakers, where we are all contributing, obviously, our expertise to helping creatives. You don't have to be in the wedding industry, but obviously some of this is geared towards that. But we're all giving you, obviously, our best advice and tips through there's platforms, there's panel discussions, there's individual, presentations. So I'm doing a presentation, the individual one, plus I'm on a mindset panel. I'm also offering I think it's a 10-page download for the all access pass option, which you can upgrade to instead of the free, you enroll and it's free. Anyway, what's happening and why it's happening, 2023 is shaping up to be the biggest and the busiest year ever for the wedding industry, given what's happened in the breakdown 2 years ago. As you can imagine, obviously, with all the everything got pushed back a year, 2 years, and now here we are, right? So that's one of main reasons that Margot Phrase is producing and hosting this. And she's doing an incredible job. I'm so impressed with really the levels in which she is doing and how much she's giving. If this was an in-person event, it would be a 3-day event. That's how much content is there. So you can choose to participate, as much and as least as you want. Okay, so the registration opens up, by the way, on July 25th. Okay, in the promotion period to enroll, and you'll see for me, I'll have it all over Instagram and so forth, and you can choose to enroll through my posts. That goes for, I think, 2 weeks, so July 25th, and then it begins August 8th. Jot that down. Again, it's not only just for the wedding industry, creative entrepreneurs, but really any creative, right? Any creative entrepreneur. I'd love to have you join us. Let's move into introducing you to my guest, Robert Arthur. He's the founder and president of Invisible Touch Events based in Orange County, California. And he runs this entertainment company specializing in weddings, corporate events, theme park events, and any event needing DJs or live music. They're the go-to. And on a side note, I had to mention this. His company, as far as I'm concerned, is the DJ company that Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm hire and have hired for years. He's their kind of in-house, right? His company is their in-house DJ company. And, again, I love all things Disney. So to me, it's kind of a great accolade too. And the respectful relationship that he has with these two large theme parks. So you can definitely find one of Invisible Touch Events DJs running that show in one of the parts of the park. Pretty cool. So Robert, thank you and welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast.
Thank you, Marla. So excited to be here.
Good. Yeah, me too. Before I launch into our conversation, I always like to share, as long as I know the guest, how we met. And I believe it was in 2018, we were at an ABC, that's the Association for Bridal Consultants, everybody. It was one of the industry events in Orange County. And we had been friends ever since. We met, I think, in line to some we were getting something to eat or something to drink, and we started talking, and the rest is history. So we've been friends since. And then I also began, I coached your team on sales, which was a ton of fun. And I also began coaching one of your master DJs, Juan Castro, who, by the way, is going to be a guest in some upcoming episodes. I have him on my list and we're scheduled. But I have done some personal coaching with Juan as well. Great guy. I mean, he's definitely one of Robert's, he's on his executive team. Decent human being, that's for sure. And you, Robert, are also as part of us meeting. You're a loyal member of my pandemic creative roundtable group.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
That I started back in April, right, to help the
crazy.
Oh my God, it was nuts to help that industry navigate everything. So yes, you've been a loyal member for 2 years now.
Well, thank you for having me as a member. Yeah. That helped us get through everything.
Oh my gosh.
It was great.
It was. I mean, just to witness together, all of us, it's an intimate group and it's like a family. And to witness together, literally, we went through it together, the pandemic, right?
Stage by stage. Stage by stage. Yeah.
Yep.
And when we met in 2018, that was at FET, the venue in Costa Mesa.
Yes.
That's where we met.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Good memory on that. And we'll definitely hear more about the round table and how it affected you and so forth in your story. So you'll really enjoy this, everybody. So, okay, let's hear again some of these stories about joy, intuition, and your success. So start off, Robert, with telling us, the work that you do and why you chose DJ and event production.
That's a great question. Thank you. And on another note, Juan Castro's fantastic. So I'm so happy that you're going to have him on. He's just such a loving, caring, charismatic person, man, just so awesome. So glad to have him. So as far as my company, well, I'll take you all the way back. I was a drummer. So I started off with a love for music by being a drummer, and I played in various bands. Think Earth, Wind and Fire meets Chicago kind of band, 10-piece horn kind of bands. And I did jazz bands, and I did a little rock bands and the whole thing. So I wanted to be a professional drummer. And the only problem was I didn't know how to read music. So that would have been a little bit of a problem for what I wanted to do. So we started playing in restaurants, bars, nightclubs, stuff like that. And the guy that ran the band with me, his name is Chewy. He was the bass player. We got a job at a bar in Downey, and the band was playing every Friday, Saturday night. And this was 1985, bringing you all the way back, 1985. And I think it was like right around August of that year that the guy that was managing the place said, "Hey, we need you guys on Thursday nights too. Can you do Thursdays?" And so the band couldn't do it. Some of the guys just couldn't play. So I said, guess what? Chewy's a DJ and he could do it. And so the manager said, sounds great. I'll pay you $175. And by the way, back then, 1985, our band was getting paid $300 and there were 6 of us, just to give you an idea. So 300, 6 people. He was going to pay Chewy $175 to be the DJ. Didn't really think anything of it. All I know is the night before his first performance, Chewy calls me and says, "Robert, I can't DJ tomorrow night. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Chewy, I have no idea how to be a DJ. Like, no idea." I was a drummer. I didn't want to talk on the microphone. So anyway, he said, "No, I'll teach you. I'll bring the records." So and I said, "Why can't you do it?" He goes, "Because I have a date." I'm like, "Chewy, really?" So anyway, I went there that night. And I was scared to death because I didn't know what I was doing. It was like an antiquated old sound system. I couldn't even figure out how to cue the song. All I could do is drop the needle on the record and guess where it went. That's all I did. And luckily that first night, there were a bunch of guys that really I guess they drank a lot and they were just kind of there. No women. It was just all men at this bar. You can imagine. And one guy comes up to me and says, "Play Bruce Springsteen." And so I play it. He gives me $20. And then he comes up again, says, "Play another one," gives me $20. By the end of the night, he gave me $300 to play Bruce Springsteen. And that was interesting. And then I got paid the $175. So I tell this story because it's kind of funny. In 1985, that is equivalent to probably $1,200 right now, if you do the math of how things have changed. And I took all that money, didn't care, and said, I'm going to be prepared next week. So I went to Norwalk Records and I bought probably $400 worth of records so that I could do it the following week, because I kind of got excited by the control aspect of making people happy with what I was playing rather than the band playing what they wanted to do. I wanted to play what they wanted to hear, the people there. That's how it all started. And it started there. And then I just started to realize I was pretty good at reading the crowd and and I knew music because I was a drummer. And it became very easy for me to become a DJ, because if I could play with two hands and 2 feet, being a DJ and just mixing music was actually really easy. So that's how it all started. It was a total accident, to be honest.
That's, it's interesting because the the last interview with or previous interview with Tony and Shane, they too were accidental DJs. That's really, it seems to be kind of a theme or a pattern. I love that.
Who would have ever thought it, right? I mean, the one thing I can say, talking about joy, following your joy, the one thing I can say, when I was a drummer, there was nothing that could compare. I still feel this, by the way. There's nothing to compare to the creation that's happening when you're in the middle of playing the drums or in any instrument or singing or whatever it is that a musician does. I would be whisked away into a world that there was nothing else that mattered when I was playing the drums.
Yeah.
And the closest thing to that was actually being a performing DJ, more so the music for me, more just the mixing of the music and bringing in the music and the songs and the switching and all of that was probably more of a joy than anything, even though I did get pretty good on the microphone too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is it? I mean, I hear it. I hear that it's a joy for you and that it's obviously very natural for you, that and drumming. But why do you think so? What is it about, like you said, the mixing, the reading of the room, the choosing the music? I mean, just why?
It started at an early age. Even before that, I didn't realize this until actually doing this exercise, thinking about this, is that my dad played Sinatra music, big band, Glenn Miller, when I was like 7 in the house. He had parties where he would play this music. And I was thinking about like, oh, what's the next song? What's he going to do next? It's the weirdest thing. And then I started listening to Top 40 radio in 1968, memorizing every song, like Sugar Sugar by the Archies. I could just name the songs. And I don't know. I think it's just this thing that I feel that I was gifted with, the gift of music memorization skill and also the gift of just being good with people. And those two combos, if someone comes up to me and says, hey, do you have this, or do you do this, or, can you do this? I'm like, I want to make them happy. And I can usually deliver it because I know the music so well.
Yeah.
And it's just something. And I've been able to impart that to my DJs by teaching them the music aspects of how, how important that is, knowing the different genres of music.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, everybody, Robert, how long have you been doing this?
Okay. So the company was not really the company in 1985. We actually started in 1986. So that would be what, 36 years? 36 years?
6 years, everybody.
36 years. And check this out. I'm not really a performer anymore. I stopped performing a long time ago, but ironically, last Saturday, I was roped into doing a 40th high school reunion. And it was class of 80, 81, 82, and 83. And I did it with my top DJ trainer, Scott Tucker. And it was so fun doing that 4-hour crazy. It was like all 80s music. We did every genre of the 80s that you can just imagine. And those people were crazy. They loved it. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, very fun.
Very fun. When was the last time you did performing? You did DJ?
The last time I did any kind of a DJ job was a corporate event 4 years ago.
Oh,
that they had seen me and they had to have me as an MC, but I didn't DJ. I was just the MC.
yeah.
This time I was actually the DJ for Scott. I was actually Scott's DJ. It was pretty funny.
Yes. I mean, seriously, that's got to be a ton of fun for you to be, every once in a while doing that.
Yeah, every once in a while. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw. 36 years, everybody. That's a long time, right? So let's dig into a little more about that. So, okay. So what brings you then the most joy? I mean, kind of add on to what you've already shared, but
Mm-hmm.
what really brings you that joy in work and running the business?
So, you know, I would have to say that the most joy now, I get more joy. And I talk to other DJ companies that are still performers. So the owner is still performing or still out there doing the events. But I realized a long time ago that I didn't want to be the outside face of the company if I wanted my company to have value when I go to sell it. I didn't want it to have to be about Robert Arthur's performance or even my age.
Mm.
So I started getting out of performing in the early 2000s. So that was a long time ago. And I get my kicks now out of watching my DJs. Actually, it gives me joy to watch them, to watch Juan or any of my guys, just to go to the event, watch them just do a great job, watch them move the audience. And it's not just that, it's the look of the event. It's sometimes we do lighting, sometimes we do event production that's tied into it. And then I'm back to my roots of live music. Live music, I love live music. So I get a joy out of going to a restaurant, finding a singer, finding a guitar player, finding a full-on band and putting them on my website and then booking them. So the combination of both DJ and live music and being able to go to those events and sometimes to be the event producer for those events, I'm not working. I'm virtually not working, even though I'm not. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's the true, definition of joy in my world too, is that, in the coaching is I want you being financially rewarded for your joy.
That's the best thing.
I mean, and it doesn't feel like work. It shouldn't be work. And that's then, as you know, with the genius zone, that's genius zone. Time goes by fast. You love what you're doing. It doesn't feel like work, right?
So, I mean, that was one of the best books, Marla, that you ever recommended when you did your coaching and your sales seminar for my team.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best books I've ever read, The Genius Zone.
Yeah.
And that actually inspired me. That book inspired me to get away from trying to be like the companies that are. I'm part of a mastermind group called Think Tank across the United States. It's about 50 entertainment DJ companies. And, people get caught up in social media sometimes, and they get caught up in trying to be like everybody else and gross more money and go bigger, go home. And I was getting caught up in trying to become technical. And I'm like, after reading The Genius Zone, I realized I'm not technical, probably never will be technical. Let me go with what my genius is. And my genius is more with people.
Yeah.
Really with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the big leap is like, I mean, that's why I choose it to be part of my curriculum. It's so life-changing. It's so life-changing. And it was given to me by my coach back in 2016. And I was, at that point, I was coaching high path activities and being very focused on what you are doing and leverage the rest, delegate the rest. But once I started reading this book and going through what she was teaching us, I'm like, this takes it to a whole new level. And I went, this has to be in my coaching. And I've seen nothing other than extraordinary results from everybody, including yourself, in the transformation and how to really be in your genius zone. And it has nothing to do with IQ. It has everything to do with joy, right? Being in that place of pure happiness of what you're meant to do.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, good. because of my platform, right, and everything is about listening to your intuition. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Listening to your intuition first, and then use the logic, use the practical, use the reason, use whatever to then put feet on that intuition and make a plan. Okay. So, what would be your one of many stories of you following that intuition and coming out on the other end in a joyful, fulfilling result?
Well, I would have to go back to 2020 because that was a life-changing year.
Hmm.
And if if you if you go back to when it first hit the pandemic, I was scared to death. There was a state of shock for a week, maybe probably a week. And true story, we rescheduled 50 weddings in 2 weeks. 50. It was crazy. Like, but during that period, I realized quickly I had to be emotionally intelligent and not be emotional about it. It's just what is. And when I learned to go with this is what is, this is what I'm given, I'm going to surrender to this. So I learned the concept of surrender, that I can't change it, just got to go with it. And so then you started your group, Marla. And that group, really helped us. We had a few different groups. I had the group with you, and then I had my own think tank group, which was great. And we were really up on all the things that were happening as far as the PPPs and the EIDLs and all the different SBA things. And,
Yeah.
but it was really it being in your group and having one of those sessions. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, August of 2020. And I was trying to decide whether or not I should try to get out of my office. And I had an office rent. It was fairly high. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep this rent amongst this pandemic. And I was scared to death because I had had an office since virtually 1998. I always had the biggest overhead of all of my competitors in Orange County. I had the biggest rent of pretty much anyone. And it was through your coaching on that one day that I realized I got to go with my gut, because even though they made me a great offer to stay, which was a great offer, they were going to lower my rent by $2,500 a month. You were the one that said, trust your gut, trust your intuition, really, really go with what, that feel, that vibe, that, what is it that's guiding you? What does that tell you? And something told me that the pandemic was going to go on another year. Something just told me. I can't explain it. At first I was scared, felt like my ego was going to be defeated by moving from this big, nice office in Irvine, California, back to my house and running my business out of my house. But then I just switched to this position of excitement about how much stuff can I put in my garage? What can I put in my garage? How can I take that garage that I used to have my equipment in? And we were lucky that our business model was to have all of our DJs keep their own gear. Mm-hmm. So that facilitated the ability to be able to do that. And life-changing, best decision that I had made in years and years and years, lowered my overhead enormously, took away the stressors that I had financially. That was the best intuitive move that I've ever made in my life, at least the life of my business.
Wow. That's profound. And yes, we all witnessed that the whole year. Every time we came back month to month, it's like we got to hear more from you and what was happening, but you were really scared. This was a brand new decision that you never had to make. Like you said, I kept going, yeah, go with your gut, get out of your head on this. This is not logic.
You did. When I first moved into my first office, which was 1993, mm-hmm. Think about that, 1993. Mm-hmm. My rent's just it's like a lot of businesses, your overhead just goes up. Mm-hmm. And realizing that I actually love working at home now. And back then it was like, no, I don't want to work at home because I'm going to be distracted. Now I actually get way more done working at home. I can get up early in the morning. I could work late at night. I could do this. I'm not driving to Irvine every day. There's so many benefits. So those of you that out there that are thinking go big or go home, it's not always that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Even though I did go big.
Well, you went big in your own way,
Yes.
right? In your own way. And that's the whole thing is I want you to have business on your terms, not someone else's. Right.
Correct.
And the other thing, everybody, too, that I and the members of our group got to witness is that you had a lot of personal evolution. You by following the intuition, doing this, kind of scary thing that ended up being, like you said, especially financially for you, one of the best things you could have done is that you personally, and this always happens. Like, look, we are integrated beings. We're not separate from our business. And so you went through some pretty amazing personal transformation, didn't you?
Well, at the same time as the pandemic, I was actually serving as part of Bayside Church in Orange County. We had nothing else going on. There were no events. So I was helping with that. And I was introduced to spirituality through the Bayside Church. And that same year in 2020, I read the entire Bible in 9 months. And I had never read the Bible before. It just gave me a different perspective. So it was like a combination of all of this. It's like moving out of the office, being able to slow the pace down. And the strangest thing is that when the pandemic hit, within 1 week of the pandemic, I was thinking that this was a reset. I don't know why I was thinking that, but I was thinking this is some kind of reset. And someone's telling us to slow down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really, slow down, be with your family, maybe look at things a different way.
Yeah.
And one of my good friends, George Lopez with J&M Events out in Santa Clarita, coined a term that I think is just so great for business people. It basically was that COVID year. He said, now build the business. Don't build the business that you had before. This is your chance to remake everything. Build the business that you really want. Yeah. And that kind of feeds into your whole podcast here is build the business that will give you joy, not the business that's going to give you all this money or, stress, the business that will give you joy. And it doesn't have to be, it's up to that person to find out where that joy is coming from.
That's right. Yeah. No, really, really well said, especially about what you went through. I've said this many times, and I'll say it a lot more times, is that when you follow your joy, which is part of your intuition, right? You check in with that intuition. Your intuition is meant for you, no one else, because it's meant to evolve you. Which is why this is so crucial, everybody, is to when you listen like what Robert did, he listened, even though it was scary. Right? He listened to his intuition. And yes, what it was meant to do was to evolve him. And that's exactly what happened in his business and in his personal life. You could not have even predicted, nor should you, but you could not have predicted when you made that decision to lower the overhead, move everything home, that you were going to go through a personal transformation like you did.
No.
That's the point. That's
right.
Exactly what I'm saying here. That's so powerful when we really honor our intuition, not our logic. Is that built into that intuition, and I call this an entelechy. Right? An entelechy is essentially, and it's a metaphysical term, but it has to do with that which you're meant to do, that which you're meant to be. So, for example, the entelechy of an acorn is a big, strong oak tree. Right? For you specifically, it was for you to also personally evolve and become more spiritual and more grounded. But you would have never in your wildest dreams have said, yeah, if I do that, I'll end up doing this.
No
way.
It all just kind of happened.
That's right. But that's the natural order of things. And you did it, in my words, beautifully. And we all watched it. We all saw you transform. Yeah, awesome. You brought everything home, you lowered your overhead, but man, we watched you personally, change, and you shared all that. It's great. You did an awesome job, Robert.
Thank you, Marla.
Yeah, really, really well done. So, based on then your transformations and experience in your 36 years of expertise, what's one tip of advice that you can give to our high achieving creative entrepreneurs that are listening?
I'm going to try to say one, but I might give you three.
Okay, that's okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah.
I read a book this last year that also changed me. And I love this book. It's called Profit First.
Mhm. Yeah.
By Mike Michalowicz. If you get a chance and you're a business owner, please grab that book. It's very powerful, so simple. And one of the things he says in the book is he talks about focusing your energies on your passion and what you do best and your genius. It kind of goes along with the genius zone. And that if you focus all your energies on that, it's almost like having this laser focus instead of trying to be everything to everybody. So it's like, I think we were dabbling in video, and we were dabbling in this and dabbling in that and doing all these different things. And it seemed like our focus was not as laser sharp as it could have been by just sticking. And so when we had our executive team meetings, we also do a thing called traction, which is awesome. And in that, it really talks about getting that focus to what you really are. And what we decided was we are an entertainment company first and foremost. That's what we like to do. And we like to really give people an experience through entertainment. And if lighting and production happens to be part of that, cool. But our focus is the entertainment part. And so I say go with what you're great at, go with what you're passionate about, go with what you love. Don't go necessarily with that money maker over here or that photo booth over here or this over here. Go with what you love, because if you're doing something you don't love, you're probably not going to do it as well. And the service that you're rendering is not going to be as good. I have friends that own photo booth companies. They love that stuff. We tried to do photo booth. We didn't love it. Okay. So I've changed my focus. We still do it, but now I go to the people that love it. So I also surround myself with experts in those particular areas. So if I'm not great at audio, I find a great audio guy. If I'm not great at photo booth, I find a great photo booth person. If I'm not great at coaching, I find a great coach like Marla. Whatever it may be. Yeah. So that's kind of my advice to you is surround yourself with experts in the field and share. And sharing is great. Sharing is caring.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, excellent. Good advice. Where can people get a hold of you, and what are you offering as far as kind of an intro?
So people can get hold of us on our website, and that's invisibletouchevents.com. That's our website. There's a contact page on there. They can get a hold of us there. I'll give you my email if people want to contact me via email.
Okay.
My email is the letter R and then Arthur. I like to say like the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore. So R Arthur at Invisible Touch Events with an S plural.com, and kind of spelled like Invisible Man. So invisibletouchevents.com, or check us out on Instagram at Invisible Touch Events, at Invisible Touch Events. So, but you can email me if you have any questions. Love to chat, love people, love communication. And just another note that I forgot to mention, Marla.
Yeah.
I was a counselor. I don't know if I've told you this before, but I was a college counselor at Cypress College, El Camino College, Cerritos College, and I have a degree in counseling with an emphasis in education. And so that counseling has really helped me with just the work that I do as a entrepreneur, just being able to talk to people and communicating. So just wanted to mention that too.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's another piece of the puzzle that I just learned.
There you go.
Now
There you go.
that makes sense now, Robert. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love that. Aw. Well, terrific. Robert, thank you so much for being here, sharing your, inspiring story. And yeah, it's so important, everyone, as you can tell with Robert's story and the ones, prior to this and the other episodes. I'm just, God, I'm so passionate about you all really getting the power of intuition. Right? This is not a soft skill, everyone. Even though you may think so, especially for the guys. Well, you've heard from Robert, you heard from Tony and Shane, you'll be hearing from Juan. These are men that are using their gut, they're using their intuition and coming out on the other side really happy and really successful. As I say, is following your joy and intuition is a life and a business strategy. Till next episode, take care and let's say goodbye, Robert. Bye.
Bye. See everybody.
Wasn't that an inspiring conversation? Hey, thanks for listening in. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my 3 free downloads to up-level your business and your life. And how about you take a screenshot of this episode and tag me on Instagram by sharing your highlights of what you learned today. I'd love that. Until next episode, take care.